So you think you guys got a lot in common?
In some aspects, yeah, we do.
How are you guys different?
Because of the disparity in weight. Instead of practicing alone, Terence Crawford has used the expertise and experience of the first guy to defeat Canelo Alvarez in the ring because he isn't taking any chances against him. Crawford plans to take a brief break in the middle of the year, but he has decided to start training camp early in order to gain weight and get used to it before his bout in September. Long before that, Crawford had already welcomed Floyd Mayweather to his camp, and the two of them had a terrific time. Naturally, Mayweather had to perform the majority of his work on Crawford's defense, which included additional body feints, shoulder roll practice, and dancing. Floyd Mayweather was in his mid-30s when he met Canelo Alvarez, who was 23 at the time. However, Mayweather's defense was so strong that Canelo Alvarez rarely struck him in 12 rounds. Mayweather's accomplishment of training numerous elite boxers over the years, such as Ryan Garcia, is an honor. Floyd Mayweather's extensive combat knowledge benefited Dev Haney and Gervon Davis. Terence Crawford, his most recent trainee, shared some thoughts on his time with Floyd Mayweather with his followers. The reason why Terence Crawford, a professional boxer with 40 fights under his belt, sought Mayweather's assistance so late, only a few fights before his retirement, isn't implausible, but Terence Crawford's next fight is scheduled to begin at 168.
Gave the sport of boxing their whole life and sacrificed a lot inside that square circle. They should feel that way. So if he feels that way, more power to him. I had one fight, and the fight wasn't.
As a result, he sought instruction from Floyd Mayweather, a 5-way world champion. In a recent interview, Floyd Mayweather recalled his historic weight class bout with Canelo Alvarez.
But it wasn't my idea. So at one particular time, you guys can, anybody, you can go online and pull this up. It was an article. So with Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him.
I had a fight once, and it was at a catchweight, but it wasn't my plan, and he thought I was scared of him. So he said, Floyd doesn't want to fight me, so I'm willing to meet him at 152 or 152 and to pounds. I called his bluff and said, if you want to do it, let's do it at 152 or 152 and 2. After Canelo made the weight, it wasn't like there was a specific rule SCH that prevented him from gaining weight. He weighed 152 or 152, and A2, I believe he came in at 168, or nearly 170, but I came in at 151 or 15.
To make the adjustments that he's made to certain fighters,
Even though boxing fans have made serious comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather Jr., Terence Crawford may have felt that this was sufficient for him as well, because he still had a lot to learn about the new weight class he would be moving to in less than a month. Nevertheless, he refused to deny the 50-0 boxing champion his rightful recognition. In addition to praising T and acknowledging Flo's prowess, Terence Crawford also expressed his admiration for Floyd Mayweather when asked about their similarities.
I think, I take more chances,
Excuse me, Crawford.
right now. But earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. So,
He went on to say, we have a lot in common in some ways, but we're a little different because I take more chances earlier in my job. He was taking a lot of chances in his career as well. It just depends on which Floyd Mayweather you're talking about, like Money or Pretty Boy, because Pretty Boy was the seeking kill ER before he started having hand injuries that made it hard for him to keep up with the same power and allowed him to move up and fight bigger.
You talk about Money, or do you talk about Pretty Boy? Because Pretty Boy was the seek and destroy.
They have a lot in common, according to Crawford, but boxing fans and supporters have compared the two fighters to determine who is better. When they did, a new source predicted that CIT would win a fight between the two fighters because Floyd Mayweather is the best producer of science master classes when it comes to pure boxing skill.
Folks, again, is a lightning hand speed extraordinary. Oh. Left hook drops him, and then he hit his head off the en masse here at the end.
Over 2 iterations of himself, Mayweather was able to dissect his lengthy list of opponents thanks to his precise timing, clean jab, and counterpunching skills. Just as Crawford said Pretty Bowie was the more aggressive boxer taking the fight to opponents, while Money Mayweather, years later, would compute and edge opponents out with brilliant boxing, whichever style you prefer. Both pieces of work made the ledge, and that is Floyd Mayweather Jr. Comparatively, boxing fans are still in of what Crawford did to Spence in his last fight, the Power JB, that he repeatedly snapped through Spence's guard hitting in traffic or the timing of counterpunches, but showed supreme boxing ability, and it wasn't the first time, but we've never seen it like that against a fighter of Spence's caliber. When talking about pure boxing ability, arguably, nobody should get a push over Mayweather, but Crawford's style of boxing is different, yet effective, even explosive in its own right. So how would their boxing stack up if Crawford were to fight Mayweather and his prime, and use his lasering shots against Mayweather's disciplined sweet science, who would make the jab first, who would be the more successful counterpuncher? There are so many ways to see this play out that it might be best to call this category a draw interview. How often have we seen Mayweather eventually entice his opponents to the center of the ring, where he calculated data, examined it, and loaded a blueprint to dissect them? As an unbeaten 5-division world champion, Mayweather used his ring, IQ, and his mantra of hit and not hit to essentially ride it to the Hall of Fame. Crawford was declared undisputed at junior welterweight, and welterweight has since demonstrated a high ring IQ throughout his career. Although Mayweather demonstrated hand speed, particularly in the counterpunch end, Crawford's slashing angles and whiplashing delivery were superior to Mayweather's 50 wins, 27 of which came via knockout, compared to Crawford's 40 victories, 31 of which came via knockout, and he is still active.
That's unbelievable. To young boxing fans that are watching Floyd Mayweather, you're seeing one of the greatest defensive fighter of all time. I mean, that's how strong.
You're and then he's nowhere. You think you...
And again, it's not just...
Re-enter Crawford's wizardry over Spence, who methodically dismantled Kell Brooks with power punches and body-grabbing techniques, dropping him 3 times on way to a commanding 9th round TKO. Sean Porter and Dennis Yuga's ascent to the title of unified world welterweight champion was anything but simple. But Crawford made it appear crucial, and his strength was a major factor in Mayweather's decision to paint in the corner, raising his shoulder into the Philadelphia shell and taking punches with his arm while picking them up with his free hand. This was the pinnacle of defensive boxing turned counterpunching. Interview Crawford also has some good defense, but Mayweather took defensive boxing to a whole new level of damn near perfection.
The way he rolled with punches. Look at the way he makes it miss. I mean, here we go. Through a series of punches and nothing really landed. Rip it, the rip it fighter. Well, Mayweather. Oh!
After a tense first round in which both boxers are trying to gauge each other's strength, we see Crawford as the more active and busy fighter early on, launching and scoring shots, even though many of them are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. By the middle rounds, however, Mayweather's style would take over as he pepper-cough it with jabs, winning some rounds, moving of the head, and you can see how he makes a miss. We see a series of punches here, nothing particularly landa, but with a constant flow of pressure, Crawford's firepower could occasionally get close enough to Mayweather to injure the legend. This is an example of Crawford's fighting prowess, and those with flashing punches might be just enough to get judges to give him credit for his pressure and volume on the way to a point and over Mayweather's style of boxing. However, moving away from the contrast, increasing his weight isn't as simple as many people think, and he needs to step up his game. Terence Crawford is hoping to avoid making the same mistakes as Canelo Alvarez did a few years ago when he faced Dimitri Bivol-Hensitis, who was looking for as much help as possible. However, Canelo Alvarez's high aspirations caught up with him after the pound-for-pound king faced off against the unbeaten World Boxing Association light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bivol-Alvarez, who won the division title by a career-low 80 punches overall in 12 rounds. Bivol used his defense and accurate punching to win by unanimous decision inside the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. All three judges scored at $115 and $116 for Bivol in a fight that didn't appear to be competitive, with CBS Sports scoring at 109 in favor of Dill. 6 months after establishing himself as the Four Bells' first unbeaten super midweight champion, for the first time since defeating Sergey Kovalev to win the World Boxing C title in 2019, Tia Alvarez put himself back up to 175 pounds. He told Hub TV that he would find it difficult to compete against the American Southpaw because so few people have the desire or drive to push themselves. It's a great challenge because Canelo is a great fighter, bigger and stronger, and he can punch and time you. But just because you're smaller, Crawford will come up with a strategy that will force the other guy to use his size speaking to fight. Well, I'm never going against that guy, but I'm not sure if a weight class can catch him. Hub Television McIntyre praised the undefeated Set, who is rumored to have faced Canelo in May or September. Crawford is fully equipped to capture a third weight title. Undisputed crown. Any true boxing fans who know that Crawford can defeat Canelo must be familiar with fighting to be able to say that DAC told Fight Hop that if Canelo and Crawford fight on Saturday, May 3rd or May 10th, one of the weekend dates, closest to Cinco de Mayo is open, but Canelo may be waiting to see how the outcome of a fight between light heavyweight rivals Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol, who defeated Bivol in their first fight last year, is decided. That's all for now. For the best updates on news, events, and happenings in the boxing world, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to enable notifications so you can be informed when we post high-quality content like this. Until next time, peace.